ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुर्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. Today I'll talk about pizza tattva. You've all heard about pancha tattva, and some of you are very eager to know more about pizza tattva. There's a desire to cook pizza here. I was asked about this. Should it be done or not? Well, I'll leave it up to you, but please hear what I have to say. Devotees of Krishna honor Krishna Prasad. Krishna Prasad means the mercy of Krishna. That means which is cooked with the aim of Krishna in mind for his pleasure and offered to him. And in the temples we therefore offer Krishna all varieties of items, particularly in the line that Krishna is offered by his devotees. We have a description of Bhogarati. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes some of the items that Krishna takes. Shukta Shakadi Bhaji Nalita Kushmanda Dali Dalna Dugda Tumbi Dodhi Mocha Khanda Mudga Bara Maasha Bara Rotika Grithanna Shoshkuli Pishtaka Kia Puli Payashana Kapuramrita Keli Rambha Kirosha Amrita Rashal Amla Dwadasha Praka Duchi Chini Sharpuri Ladu Rashabali. Yeah, these are some of the items. Didn't see pizza in there. There are many others that Krishna takes, but it's not part of his traditional diet. So, of course, a lot of the time when there are offerings which are specifically for deities in temples, and that's actually what we're supposed to do, is cook for the deities, but in situations like this, it's not advisable to have deities. Srila Prabhupada said we can worship his books. They are your deities. And a lot of the time when we're cooking, we're also thinking about who will honor it afterwards. That's why when we're making an offering which is specifically for the deities, like in Mangalarti, there will be in the temples, there will be a relatively smaller amount prepared in the kitchen, and the larger amount will be prepared at breakfast time, because it's known that all the devotees afterwards will take it. So like this, there is consideration also of those who will honor the prasad afterward. That's also there, at least in terms of the amount prepared. And the content also, that is stated in Hari Bhakti Vilas, that at home one may offer what one may offer to the Lord, items that one prefers to take, or there may be for various reasons, people for health reasons, they're not taking various items. So the offering to the Lord at home, of course, even when we're worshipping at home, we should still try to offer all nice items for the Lord. But if we can't do that, at least whatever the family is eating, that should constitute the offering to the Lord. But even that traditionally would be traditional, what we call traditional Indian foods. When we talk of Vedic culture, Vaishnav culture, Indian culture, Hindu culture, these are all highly interrelated terms. Now, with the spreading of Krishna consciousness all over the world, there are various adaptations to non-Indian cultures. And even with the coming of westernization to India, the Vaishnava culture has become somewhat changed in various ways. And therefore we see, for instance, devotees along with their dhoti sometimes wearing a Western style jacket, for instance. So there's a mixing. And actually the pure Vedic culture, there's not much being followed anywhere. It's very difficult to follow purely in the present time. Even this sewn cloth which we're wearing, it's not considered pure. One very prominent change which is quite disputed in the present time is within ISKCON, is within Kirtan, using especially these, I don't know how it's pronounced, djembe drums, or jombi it's pronounced. Well, I don't trust how you pronounce it, but that's maybe how you've heard it. I also don't know how it's pronounced, but I'd like to hear from a more authoritative source than all of you, because so many words in English you mispronounce. It's not an English word. That's quite disputed, because those proponents say, well, it's great, people like it, they really get into the kirtan. And others say, well, wait a minute, mridanga vada shunite mon, abharsha shada jache. Bhakti Thakur says, I always desire the opportunity to hear the sound of the mridanga. And we hear that in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's kirtan there's mridangas. And there are so many other drums which were present at that time in India also, and are used in what is called classical Indian music, but they're not part of Mahaprabhu's kirtan. And specifically, Srila Prabhupada said in the temple, only mridanga and kartal should be used for kirtan, which rules out harmonium also, or to speak of accordion, which is also popular. So anyway, the point is that various aspects of Western or non-Indian culture, this djembe, jombe, or whatever it's called, devil drum, according to the African folklore, it came originally from the devil or demoniac spirits. And it said that those who dance to that, they get possessed. That was the idea, to get possessed by spirits. So it doesn't have a very good background. So the point that I'm often making on all these points, there's also rock music in ISKCON and all these things, is that we're supposed to be cultivating the culture of the soul, the culture of the spiritual world, and preparing our consciousness to go to the spiritual world. Now, if we cultivate a taste for rock music, and even for food items which Krishna doesn't take, then if we remain attached to that, then we can't enter the spiritual world, because we won't be there and we'll be dissatisfied. We have to become attached to Krishna and everything that Krishna likes. So that means Krishna has a certain taste in music, food, dress, everything. So if we're attached to anything else, then we're actually becoming attached to, it can be an obstacle for our advancement in Krishna consciousness. You might say, oh, well, what's wrong with eating a little pizza? But basically, we may be offering it to Krishna, but we're not offering it for Krishna's pleasure, we're offering it for our pleasure. So, is it really, it's not really the best. It's a neophyte stage, we could say. Now, we can say, well, in this situation, we're all here, there's no deities, and we're still offering to Krishna, and it's supposed to be more than a formality that we offer food. And but another point is that, well, everything we're doing is supposed to be for our devotional service. And even eating, we're supposed to eat in a way that we can remain healthy for Krishna's service. And pizza is not at all healthy food. It's some white flour with tomato sauce and cheese, which cheese with salt, according to Ayurveda, is very bad. You won't find in traditional Indian recipes, except in Punjab they have this paneer with shark. Otherwise you won't find this paneer. That's made into sweets, but not with salt. Only yogurt items can be mixed with salt, but milk and cheese and directly curdled and ghee, of course, can be mixed with salt also. But other items, and even to take, there's so much cheese like that, it's very unhealthy. Devotee, you get stones and all kinds of things. So it's not good for the health. It's not what Krishna himself likes. Basically, it's just been taken for the tongue. And we all have demands of the tongue, but I would suggest that there are so many good items in Krishna's cuisine. If we'd like to take various foods, then why not take Shukta, Shakadi, Bhaji, Nalita, Kushmanda, learn how to cook these, develop a higher taste, a higher consciousness. It's actually, just like the sound of the mridanga, it appeals to a higher consciousness than that of the devil drum. And those who like that more than the mridanga, we can understand where their consciousness is at. It's not, and where their consciousness is going to. It's reminiscent of this in the West. They have what do they call that? Techno rock. There is just boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom. It just goes on for hours and hours. You must know that, right? Yeah. It's really low vibrations. So, although it may seem to be a very innocent thing, and I'm going away this weekend, so you can do whatever you like, and then after next week I'll be coming back, and then again when I'll be gone, and you can. There are so many things you can cook. Also, this soya imitation meat, and how anyone could looks like meat, and how anyone could like that. I mean, if it's supposed to be a devotee. Of course, Prabhupada made some preparations. He called one preparation Meat Eater's Delight. He made it in Australia once. He said the Australian people will like this. So maybe for preaching you can do that also. Prabhupada said for the Chinese who find it very difficult to adjust to the Indian diet, you can include even mushrooms in the vegetarian food if they're cleanly grown. So Prabhupada, for preaching, he was very flexible. And if if that's what's needed to keep you going on book distribution, then take it. But it won't keep you going for very long. Because the real incentive has to come from the spiritual platform. So there's some thoughts. I could talk a lot more about this, but I'm not going to. Anyway, the basic point is that I strongly feel that our movement should be promoting Vedic culture, Indian culture, Vaishnav culture, and otherwise what's going on, ISKCON is opening bakeries and bringing Western, in India, and bringing Western culture to India. It's supposed to be that through ISKCON, Prabhupada's idea was cultural conquest, bringing Indian culture to the West, but it's gone round the other way. And actually even our devotees, people who join ISKCON, it seems on all levels, even on the moral level, they seem more likely to indulge in divorce and abortion and all these things. Devotees in India, if they join ISKCON, they're more likely to get morally degraded, it seems, than the average Indian outside. It seems to me. So, what's going on here? We should try to promote a higher cultural standard. I had to give up eating bread and cheese when I joined the movement. That was my attachment. But we have so many other things. So that's my suggestion. If you like to cook different items, there are so many items you can make without pizza. It's not good for health either. Pizza, pasta, I don't know what the fascination is. Just a bunch of things made out of white flour. Not at all healthy. Yeah, okay, so now is the time for the objections and protests. And If I speak like this in Italy, they'll throw me out for sure. Actually, almost anywhere in the world these days. Although pizza was actually invented in America, not in Italy at all, as a piece of useless information. Yes, so, any objection? Okay.
Maharaj, I was speaking with Narayan Pandit about this subject. When I was cooking this idli and dosa, he told that this is not a tradition and we cannot cook because this is fermenting and this we cannot offer to deity. But I asked him, this is a traditional and Tirupati, Srirangam, everywhere. They are offering this. How this cannot be yet traditional food?
Yeah, it can be said because these items are fermented, idli and dosa, that they're not allowed. Well, certain fermented items, yogurt's also fermented for that matter. So, I believe in one letter Srila Prabhupada wrote against using yeast because of fermentation, but certain items are allowed. And idli dosa is not part of North Indian cooking, but it seems to be part of the Vaikuntha cooking, because like you say, everywhere you'll find that, in Tirupati, Srirangam, all the Vaishnav temples, yeah. All the Vaishnav temples, they offer that. Cake, yeah, that also, the cake is, there's traditional style cake. We find Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taking pitha. There's so many varieties. It's steamed. It's like the idli process, similar to that. Yeah. Dokla is also like that. Yeah. There's so many items. When I was traveling in Bangladesh, which was supposed to be a poor country, I was going all different places, and there's so many different items. Even though I spent years there, there's again and again new items, new vegetables. New for me, that means that even after years there, people put in front of me sometimes some vegetable that I'd never seen or heard of before. I'm not talking about the preparation of it, but the actual vegetable itself. So there are so many items, actually. Now, if you want to get really strict, I guess you could say no papaya, cabbage, cauliflower. This purple eggplant is not the modern one, that's the traditional one. Then what else? These apples. There are many, even the foreign style of banana. Oh, there are so many which are not true. Potato, chili, tomato. So, but again, that's something I want to research. I want to. Why is it not allowed? What's the actual restriction against it? Maybe because it's not mentioned or it's not part of the old tradition. Anyway, it's more things to research. Well, there.
All injected. Inject any, of course.
Yeah.
We'll grow our own.
Yes.
Yes.
Grow your own food.
But this all potatoes, tomatoes came from the West.
Yeah. Potatoes and tomatoes, I believe they're from America, South America, something like that. Of course, it's all Krishna's creation.